Hi, in the last video, we have seen some of the basic concepts of database. And in the upcoming video, we shall be seeing some of the advanced topics when it comes to SQL, how to write a SQL, how to create databases. All these topics will be covered in depth. Now, in the last video, we talked about the different types of database architecture. What are the two different types of architecture? One is going to be your file server and one is going to be your client server. Okay, majorly there are two types. What is a file server? You can see file server is nothing but client request a file from the disk or a file server. Just imagine you have a file server or you have a place where you are keeping all your files. So that is called as a file server. So client could be anybody. It could be you. It could be somebody who is trying to access the data, who is trying to access the file. So client requests a file from the disk or a file server. Software opens the files. When you double click on the file gets opened. Your file could be of any file type. It could be an Excel sheet, JSON file, text file. It could be anything, a CSV file. So software opens the files, stores it in memory. So when, let's say you have a file system and there are 5 users using that file system. So when one user is trying to open it, what happens in background is the file is opened. The software opens the file, stores it in memory, make changes in memory. Whatever you are doing, your changes are stored in memory and then saves it back to the disk drive. For example, I am one of the users. I'm accessing a file and then when I'm doing some changes, because there will be multiple changes which I'm going to do, so the changes are stored in memory. And when you finally save your changes, that means Control S, or you go to file and just save it. That means then your file is saved in that particular file server. What happens if someone else opens the same file after you do? Then you save your changes and then they save the changes. To make it easy, just imagine there are two users who are accessing a file server, accessing one particular file at one particular time. Now, if I have opened something, I'm doing 5 lines of change. And if the other user has opened the same file and he's doing certain number of changes, how will it be reflect in my code, my file, or else vice versa? So this is one of the problematic scenario or one of the drawbacks of file server. So there is a potential data loss. Two people are working on a single file, definitely there will be some data loss, right? Solution is file locking. How to get rid of this data loss? The solution is file locking. So usually what happens is in Windows, because many of my companies, I have also worked on file servers, we manage a lot of files in a particular file server. Now what happens is, I'm not pretty sure if you have come across this situation or not. Whenever you are opening a file, if some other user is using it, you will get a notification that your file is open in read only mode. That means your file is open in some other's PC at that particular time. So that is called as file locking. So a solution to data loss is going to be file locking. But again, file locking has a lot of drawbacks. File locking is very inconvenient. However, as it means that nobody else can edit the file if someone else has it open first. Now, for example, user 1 is doing some changes and user 2 is waiting for user 1 to finish it. He can finish it in 1 minute. He could take 10 minutes. He could take a day. We don't know. Or else if you finish it in 10 minutes, but he forgets to close it, that means the file is already open at somebody else's system. So user T2 is already in a waiting mode. He will only be able to see the file in the read mode, read only mode. So that is one of the major drawbacks of file servers. Now, what is client server? Desktop software requests data from the database. Data is held in memory, but when a change is made, a request, which is known as a SQL statement, a SQL statement, is generated. When you save the data, these requests are passed to the database in the order they were generated. For example, you have opened at 9 to some milliseconds. Somebody else has opened on 9 to some milliseconds. So that means both our requests are going to be affected. So when you save the data, these requests are passed to the database in the order they were generated. So multiple people can work on the same table at the same time with no worries. Risk of data loss is definitely lower as compared to file server. Still possible for someone else to change data after you change it. Versioning is an option to record the changes. Now, what is versioning? We don't care about versioning because we as a data analyst are not the owner of the data, right? Normally in companies, in MNCs, in small companies, whichever company you go, there will be a DBA team. There will be a database administration team who will be monitoring the databases. So versioning is something which is implemented by them. Now, just imagine when your product goes into production. That means your product is live customers are using it. That means there could be millions and millions of records which are getting inserted and updated, right, within a day. So, how will we monitor each and every change? Let's say insertions are still okay, but let's say updation on a particular table where you have some personal information, you don't want to update any of the changes, right? So what you can do is you can implement the versioning so that any change that is being performed by any of the users are logged as in logged. Okay, that means you can definitely revert back the changes if something has gone wrong. So versioning is an option to record the changes. Normally DB admins are the owner of these things in production. So this is all about database architecture, and these are all the basic steps before we get started with the SQL part. That's it for this particular video. Next video will be introduction to SQL. Thank you.